He goes on to say, everyone has rights.
Right, so let me ask you a question. Somebody in this audience was conceived and raped. Do you know who?
No.
Because they're just as much a human being as we are.
That
you don't
wasn't
get
the
special
argument
rights.
I was making.
Because everybody deserves the right to life, regardless of how horrific or evil your method of conception is. I'm not justifying rape. I think rapists should go to jail for the rest of their life, maybe get the death penalty,
But you still
and
think
get castration.
that their victims should have to carry the child that they did not want.
I don't believe in giving the death penalty to an unborn baby because of what the rapist did. That in no way is morally defensible to say we should end a human life.
I don't know how it's morally defensible that you think it's okay to,
because life is special and beautiful
but you're
regardless.
taking away the person's right who has their body violated in the
You
first
don't
place
have a
to make
right.
a decision about what they
You
want to
do
do
not have a
from
right.
there.
Again,
that's two crimes on one. Like, you're like.
All right. So his idea is you don't have a right to abort the child. You don't have a right to murder. So let me once again say this. Okay, when you're talking about a child or an embryo inside of you, that being is a part of me. And with that being said, it depends on me. And I am the one who have to deal with whatever it is that this being is doing to my vessel. Whether it be is pooing inside of me and I got to throw up every morning, or whether it be is heavy and I got to carry it, or whatever it is, I'm the one who has to deal with that burden. And so since nobody else has the ability to relieve me of that burden, they don't have the right to tell me what I can do with this vessel concerning that child. So for him to say, well, you know, you can't just murder people. What if you was, it was my cameraman? Well, you didn't, first of all, give birth to your cameraman. Second of all, your cameraman is living on its own outside of you. This being depends upon me and puts burdens upon me. That's the difference. It's within me. Now, once it's born, that's another thing. But while it's inside of me, let's be clear. Listen, and I know this is going to sound harsh. But I'm just going to give you what the facts are. That child inside of you is a parasite. It is siphoning every resource it can to build its own vessel. It don't care nothing about the mother. It's about, what, let me get this resource over here, and let me get this, because I need my eyeballs and I need my, whatever goes on inside of your vessel with that being, it is doing parasitic things to your vessel. And you have the right as the host to say yes or no. You have the right. Now, we're talking about, is it moral? That's another story. You still have the right. And then we're going to get into what the repercussions are once again, spiritually, after this next section of this video.
Do you agree that murder is wrong?
I do, yes.
Okay, then we should stop murdering unborn babies.
I think it should be up to the person who has to carry the child.
Okay, again, that's not morally defensible in any category. Can I murder my 3-month-old because it's out of the womb?
Can he murder his 3-month-old because it's out of... This is what I mean about these arguments that don't make sense. Can he murder his 3-month-old? Once again, he didn't give birth to nothing. So no, you don't get to murder nothing. Secondly, if the child is outside of the womb, then no, you don't get to do anything to it. It's already breathing. That's when it's its own being. But when it's inside the woman, that's inside of her. She has the right to say, but you don't, he's coming with these arguments about, well, you know, at my 3-month-old, you didn't give birth to it. Even your wife shouldn't be murdering the child once you've given birth to it. But when it's dependent on her, and if there is a burden, she has the right to say no. All right. I want to get into the repercussions of what happens when you have an abortion. All right. Let's be clear. It is murder. What he's saying, it is murder. But as the one who's carrying that being, you the woman have the right to say yes or no. But when you do so, let's be very clear that there are spiritual repercussions that you have to deal with as the woman who has done this. And one of the things people, they take things too lightly. I get it. You maybe had a one-night stand, or you already have 4 children, and you want to, this one is going to be too much. I've heard stories about women who had abortions, and they, I've heard about them getting hunted, hearing the child cry all the time. But there's the deeper spiritual repercussion about what you've done. It is an energy. And all energies, as I said at the beginning of this session, must be returned. All energies must be returned. So if you are in the position where you do such a thing, and you're talking about, you're wanting to be able to clear the baggage, it deals with 100% accountability. 100% accountability, because you're keeping a spirit from coming into this dimension. Now, I had one of my students to ask me, she said, well, doesn't the child have to agree? Okay, that is a very great question, and I want to go into this because we've talked about this. A child is an old spirit coming back in a new vessel. That's what it is. And a lot of people are not recognizing the spiritual nature of this dimension, that that child still has to, it's still building, it's still creating. Even before the sperm hits the egg, it's creating. People don't get that on a spiritual level. Those are your ancestors. So if there's a situation where these things happen, there are ways to clean up the spiritual baggage, but it deals with 100% accountability. It's not you go, oh, he wasn't no good, and I just didn't want this. And no, you have to be accountable for your actions and what you did, and spiritually be able to ask for forgiveness for what you have done. And you better be doing that, because that's a serious deal when you do have an abortion. This is why I go back to being sovereign. When you're sovereign, you don't go through any of that at all. Remember to keep that bell on for notifications. Follow UNA Republic for more great information.